Carbon.
Carbon and hydrogen make organic compounds. So if the question says, if an organic compound has a nitrogen bonded to a carbon, so we've got a carbon here somewhere and a nitrogen bonded to it, but does not have an oxygen in the molecule, it's most likely, so we've got carbons over here. Might be a whole bunch of carbons. We don't know how many carbons there are, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, we got nitrogen and carbons, okay? So then we got this thing on the end, all right, because nitrogen has to have 3 bonds. It's got 5 electrons to start with. It's got to have 3 more bonds, 3 more electrons. It gets through sharing electrons. That makes it a total, it'll have to give it its octet of 8. And this structure here, this NH2 tacked onto a carbon chain, is simply called an amine. An amine.
So that's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I put covalent bonds.
So we had 2 groupings we talked about when we talked about polar compounds and how they interact. The other one would be a carbon chain, at least in a CP class. In honors, there were a lot of functional groups you had to know, but in CP, we only discussed 2 functional groups, and the other one was this one. Okay, and this functional group on the end here, and you don't have to name it. You just have to know that it is a functional group, and it's called an alcohol. Okay, so an alcohol and an amine are both polar groups, and so they make these nonpolar parts of a carbon chain where the carbons are located. They make the whole molecule more polar because they're on there. And the more of those groups you have on there, and the shorter this chain, the more polar they are. So this end of the chain over here where the carbons are located is nonpolar. The end where the OH group is located is very polar. And so when we're talking about polarity in molecules and how they interact and attract to each other, you got to know this part over here where the carbons are located is nonpolar. The OH group is polar. Up here in the amine, the end where the carbons is where that's located is nonpolar. Where the amine is polar, but the amine is not as polar as the alcohol group. So the molecule with the amine would not be as polar as the alcohol group. That's the reason you need to know about amines and alcohols. Okay? Got that? Just a little aside here. Tie this into biology. This is an amine group, and what I want to do is put the amine group on one end, and I'm going to put an organic acid group on the other and tell you about that real quickly. Yeah, I can try it. All right, probably faster to get in this count, but yeah, but I'll if you bet. Right, if you bet can do it fast. Well, he can go ahead. But I'll do it as soon as I can. If he needs to go to the doctor, he needs to go to the doctor. He can get an excuse. All right. So, if I put an amine group on one end of a carbon chain, and say I got a carbon here, and I have some kind of functional group, I'm just going to put functional group down here, okay? And over here I'm going to put what's called an organic acid. Organic acid has a double bonded oxygen on a carbon, and then has this thing right here. And this is an organic acid. So this side over here is an organic acid. You don't need to know this, I just thought it would be kind of cool to talk about right now. And so this is an amine group over here. Okay? And guess what you call chemicals that have the same general structure? An acid group and an amine group on the same molecule. What do you call that? Come on, it isn't that hard, really. An acid group and an amine group. Biology. Amino acid? You don't remember amino acids?
No.
Really? In biology, you didn't learn about amino acids?
No, we were talking about it.
I bet you did. I bet if I asked your biology teacher and said, you don't remember learning about amino acids, they'd say, what?
I had biology first semester in 10th grade. That was so long ago.